Received those via email and hopefully reviewed our last meeting. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes as written?
I'll motion to accept the minutes.
I have a motion to accept the minutes. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, any questions about the minutes? Okay. Can I hear a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, all opposed? Okay, motion passes. Second item of the agenda is appointment and swearing in of the new planning commission member. I'd like to make the suggestion that we, for nomination, Rebecca Schreier Price, hopefully I said that correctly. Rebecca is a 40-year resident of New Windsor, an accomplished musician, member of, she and her husband are members of the group Morning Sky, and Rebecca has been actively involved in the community for several years. She was a prior member of the ethics board, and today I'm recommending her for the position, the open position on the planning commission. All right, do I hear a motion to accept that nomination?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion to accept the nomination. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. It passes. So Rebecca, if you would do me the honor of coming to the forefront. So this one is easy. All you have to do is say I do it if you agree. All right. Rebecca Schreier Price, do you swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland, the town of New Windsor, and support the Constitution, any laws thereof, and that you will, to the best of your skills and ability and judgment, diligently and faithfully, without partiality or prejudice, execute the office of Planning Commission member according to the Constitution for the laws of the state. Congratulations, you're officially a board member. All right, we'll get you to sign this. Awesome, thank you. And then we'll get it witnessed. Our clerk treasurer, date it. All right, thank you very much. Congratulations. Would you like to say anything? No? That's fine. I didn't want to cut you short.
Yeah, I'm honored to be part of this group. I've been around a long time in town, and years and years ago, I was part of UCAT
Okay.
for many years. And so it's been a long time since I've really had a role, so I appreciate that.
Well, it's our pleasure to have you on board. Thank you very much for your stepping up in your service. Okay, so item number 3 is policies and procedures. I think.
So everybody got the final draft
Clerk.
of them, and we just need an approval. I know we've talked about it and changed a few things, so we would just need the official yes for moving forward with these.
Are these the same ones exactly that we looked at the last meeting?
Yes,
So there are
ma'am.
no modifications about dress?
No, it's only the modification about how much they got, which was what everyone agreed on.
Everybody talked about it. Okay.
Well, prior to that, I do have a note from Councilman Hoffman that I'd like to share with the council, and specifically addressing dress. His email says to, I don't know if we all received, did we all receive his message? Okay, so Councilman Hoffman's discussion, he said, I want to bring up an additional item in the Public Works uniform policy. In our policy, it states shorts are not allowed to be worn by employees in DPW, Department of Public Works. Long pants enhance the safety and protection of the legs. I certainly agree with the statement about pants. However, I ask we consider the statement about shorts. I had a discussion with DPW Supervisor Tobery, and he provided additional insight on this issue. The Public Works employees spend the bulk of their day outside in the hot sun, which we absolutely know is true for the last several weeks. There are many tasks that they perform that are not considered hazardous and would not require the protection of pants. Sitting on tractors, mowing, and painting are some examples. Other municipalities allow Public Works employees to wear shorts. Our Public Works employees have worn shorts in the past years, most likely because we did not have a policy against it. Additionally, there is no OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or MOSHA, Maryland OSHA, prohibition on wearing shorts in the workplace. However, the key factor in determining whether shorts are permissible is the potential for hazardous or hazards and needs for appropriate personal protection equipment, PPE. Councilman Hoffman did a Google search on does MOSHA prohibit wearing shorts? It spells it out pretty clearly. The town has an employer has to provide a safe work environment and identify hazards. My ask is we consider changing the wording to allow shorts during non-hazardous activities, but must wear pants during hazardous activities, such as string trimming. I'm not asking for the town to take on additional liabilities, so obviously this would need input from the town attorney. Did you receive a copy?
Yes, I did.
Okay, all right. All right. So the rest of it is more, in favor of wearing shorts. I would like to open that up for discussion and thought on that. Any comments?
I'd like to hear what Michelle thinks about it first, I guess.
Well, my only input actually is to ask Wayne, because there are probably days, isn't that everybody's answer? Just ask Wayne. There are probably days when they come to work at whatever ridiculously early hour I'm sure they come to work, knowing exactly what the plan is for the day. If those days are frequent and actually pan out that way, good for them. But I know most of us get up in the morning and start our day and things happen. Right. So what I don't know is how feasible it would be to say, and I'm deferring to you and your people. If you know you're going to be string trimming, don't wear shorts. But what, do you have lockers? I mean, would they have to have long pants here in case something happens and they have to go out? It's more, my input is not legal so much as practical. I don't think that you would have any legal problem allowing shorts or prohibiting shorts, frankly, for that matter. It's more of a practical, how does it work if you show up in the wrong thing? It's like mini skirts when I was in elementary school, and the nun sent you home. I'll look at you.
So we've never had an issue with an employee wearing shorts. We have a change of clothes. We always have extra shirts and pants and even long shirts. A lot of folks don't realize that sometimes when it's hot out, it's best to wear, long shirts for UV protection. So I think overall the policy is really good. I'm not against shorts by any means. Again, we've never had an issue that I'm aware of. And I think it's a matter of common sense, making sure you have the right PPE on and following the rules. Now, if conditions change later on, and heaven forbid we would have something happen, I would say we would reevaluate the policy, but I'm in support of it.
Okay.
Which, as it is, or changing it to allow shorts?
Allowance of shorts when hazardous duties are assigned.
Yeah. What is this? What did he suggest?
That's what Dave
That's
suggested.
what he suggested.
It was non-hazardous.
Essentially just allowance of shorts unless it's a situation where you're working in a hazardous. Any other
Do we have to
comments?
spell out exactly what hazardous activities are, or is it just a known?
in the letter, they mentioned string trimming, which I certainly understand. If you've ever did string trimming in shorts, I've had, it's not fun. I've never fortunately had a terrible situation, but it's certainly a lot safer to wear long pants, but
It hurts.
that's one particular thing. But yeah, it does. And I honestly think that, he also mentioned riding on tractors. I immediately thought about that when it's
Yeah.
90, pushing 100 degrees. If shorts feel so much better than wearing long pants, and I've done both, so.
I would think for legal reasons, we would need to mark out what is a hazardous.
Or maybe let the supervisor.
Yeah, I'm a little hesitant to do that because we don't know what they all might be. I mean, you could start a day
And then have a chemical spill.
and have a chemical spill.
Right.
In which case it's not, you could say chemical spills. Well, what kind of chemical spills? What if you have a bad sewer and somebody has to jump down to move some bricks or whatever it is that, all the wonderful things that you folks do. I don't know what they are, and I'm not sure you could delineate.
You don't want to box yourself in.
Yeah, I think you would put, if you wanted to do sort of a semi-definition, items which could be hazardous to health, skin, whatever you guys would come up with. But I don't know that you could list them all.
Does OSHA have like a standard for that,
What constitutes hazard?
Yeah.
I don't know.
where it's just in, like, allowed shorts in relation to OSHA standard for
But I don't think
non-hazardous?
that, I thought that Dave's email said that there wasn't one.
No, they
I mean,
didn't.
OSHA talks more about PPE
Yeah.
than anything.
And general work environments,
Personal protective equipment.
what you have to do if you're digging the hole to get into the sewer.
Yeah, in his email says, there is no OSHA or MOSHA prohibition on wearing shorts in the workplace. However, the key factors in determining whether shorts are permissible is the potential for hazards and the need for appropriate personal protection equipment.
I think we should probably just spell out that the definition of hazard is up to the Public Works Director or the
Or
Public Works
supervisor.
Supervisor.
Supervisor, yeah.
I think that's the way you
Yeah.
indicate an awareness that things are hazardous without trying to identify what they all are.
Yeah,
And direct supervisors are technically in control of the safety of the employees.
right.
So if there were some kind of an issue, the direct supervisor would be jointly responsible.
Okay. So proceeding forward, that would be the only modification that I have. Can we, how should we proceed?
I think you can approve it with that kind of language, even if you don't have the specific language.
Okay.
Approve to allow shorts at the supervisor's discretion or something like that. And that way you can vote on it today,
Yeah.
and you don't have to bring it back again in August.
Sure.
Yeah, that works.
All right, do I hear a motion to accept the updated policies with the provision to change or to allow wearing of shorts based on determination for safety by the supervisor?
I'll make that motion.
Do I hear a second? Second. All right, first, a motion and a second. Do I have any questions regarding that? Further questions? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes. Okay, item number 4 is Springdale Prep Master Plan.
Okay.
Town Manager Dye.
On that one. So the engineering consultant for Springdale Preparatory School requested to be placed on the agenda for the July 28th Planning Commission meeting to present the proposed master plan for the upper campus. Director Myers and I wanted to provide some information on the town's water and sewer system and limited availability. If you want to pull up my briefing paper there, Connor, that'd be great. So the consultant has requested to be on the agenda. They'll be presenting the overall plan, master plan, and for the upper campus requesting Planning Commission approval for Phase 1, 2A, and 2B. The consultant attached a master plan of 9 drawing sheets with 6 phases total. There is only very basic information provided for each of these phases, such as just general description of the building, use, additions, number of apartments or beds, square footage. Nothing in terms of proposed water and sewer capacity needed. The drawings are saved in tonight's folder for reference. The town has very limited water and sewer availability. Water and sewer permitted capacities fall under purview of the Maryland Department of the Environment, and increasing water and sewer capacity through MDE is a timely and costly process and never guaranteed. Just some information on our current wastewater treatment plant. Our current permitted capacity is 115,000 gallons per day, and MDE requires a capacity management plan when flows reach 80% of permitted capacity. So with a CMP, municipalities are required to initiate measures, operational changes to improve performance, provide plans and schedule for plant upgrades, and curtail building permit approvals, etc. So the CMP would be required at 92,000 gallons per day, which is 80% of our permitted capacity of 115,000. We would hold a safeguard of 5% capacity for reserve as a cushion to begin preparation of the capacity management plan. And our 3-year average flow is 75,000 gallons per day. So if you take that 5% out of there, that leaves us around 10 or 12,000 of capacity before we would need a plan. Director Myers will provide some more information on our water system capacity specifically. Just to note, there was a meeting held here at Town Hall on May 9th of 2024 to discuss the Springdale Master Plan, and a representative from the school made it blatantly clear that the school would not contribute financially to upgrading the town's wastewater treatment plant or water supply system. So, led by Director Myers, and the town has been pursuing additional water sources to supply redundant capacity and reduce our dependency on mainspring and the 117-year-old water main. As you all know, the town is also pursuing an ENR upgrade to the wastewater treatment plant, and our town engineer, GMB, has submitted the preliminary engineering report, or the PER, which is the first step in determining the state-funded eligibility. Pursuing additional water sources and the wastewater treatment plant ENR upgrade are regulated and administered by MDE and take time. It's for these reasons that, as town manager, I cannot support any phase of a proposed master plan of this magnitude. So I'll turn this over to Wayne, and he can elaborate on the water side of things.
Okay, so the town of New Windsor currently holds 2 Maryland water appropriation permits. One is for 143,000 gallons per day. And the town's very fortunate to have a few strong water sources, but there's some things that we have to consider. Mainspring is rated for a sustainable yield of 87 gallons per minute with a maximum yield of 165 gallons per minute. Denning's well originally yielded 30 gallons per minute sustainable, but production has declined, and as mentioned in past meetings, we're in the process of trying to rehabilitate the well to bring it back to what it used to be, and as far as its yield. MS5 is part of that permit and is not currently connected to the water system. The site lacks electricity, and piping and connecting would require significant investment. However, the connection is required to maintain the full withdrawal under the permit. Otherwise, our appropriations would be reduced. So that max number that we're appropriated with by MDE, they would reduce that number if we remove that from the permit. The other thing to consider is root spring. It was removed in 1997. It's also still appropriated on that existing permit. But the spring is now officially within the zone of influence of Heidelberg materials. Given these circumstances, it's highly unlikely that we would go down that route to bring that source back online. So the second permit is the permit that we have for our hillside wells. The hillside wells is currently has a permitted withdrawal of 53,000 gallons per day. The town is maximizing this allocation and is regularly approaching the average daily withdrawal limit allowed underneath that permit. So one of the things that we've been working with MDE with was a permit modification to allow us operational flexibility to be able to pull from those specific sources in different ways. We're still in that process. We're looking at maybe adding Atlee Well if it's worth the investment, and it would have to be over 30 gallons a minute sustainable yield. And so when I mention sustainable yield, that is the yield that is sustainable over a given period of time. And so some of our sources are influenced by drought, and we're more dependent on others. And so we just change our operations accordingly. So just the sheer numbers, when you add the 143,000 gallons to the 53,000, that's not sustainable in drought by any means, which gives us little reserve capacity. And with the expansion of the town and the addition of Snyder Summit and the 128 homes that are up there, unfortunately, we've noticed that if there's a major water main break or something like that, it takes us anywhere from 2 to 4 days to replenish the water system back at its original level. So we're more dependent during a water main break on the towers, and then trying to fill things back up. Just like the sewer system, the water system would need a capacity management plan, but MDE, unlike any other municipality, offers us very large flexibility with the use of mainspring. There's cycled approaches that you can do that we often utilize during drought, and operational changes that give us the flexibility to maintain the public water supply. But as many of you are aware, when we had the raw water main break, we couldn't depend specifically on Hillside alone. And so we are looking for other sources and trying to find a resolve to this. But again, I'll have to mention the fact that Mainspring and Dennings is the backup for Mainspring during drought. They share the same pipeline. If that pipeline fails, all our eggs are in one basket, and we're utilizing Hillside at 53,000 gallons, and our daily water supply average is 90,000 gallons per day. So again, we're appreciative of what MDE's allowed us to do with technically over appropriating some of our sites for operational flexibility. We're going to continue to work on this. But in conclusion, when considering all factors, the loss or uncertainty of several water sources under both permits and the regulatory risk of MS5, at this time, we should exercise caution and refrain from allowing significant water system expansion until the following concerns are addressed. Confirming the successful redevelopment and status of Dennings Well, making a clear decision on MS5, which is required by this modification that we're going through now, exploring new water sources or well development options, and ensuring the town's average daily withdrawal does not exceed its permitted limits, and expanding the water system without securing a reliable permitted capacity could jeopardize compliance with MDE regulations and compromise the sustainability of the water service to existing customers. And this information has been documented time and time again over the last 6 years while we've tried to mitigate some of the challenges of the town. And it's documented in the comprehensive plans, the Water Resource Committee meeting information, and that's one of the reasons why we have a close relationship with the Carroll County Resource Department, is to try to, change things for the better and the future of the town. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Director Myers, and certainly you have, along with Town Manager Dye, have done a great job documenting that over the past several years. But that is, it's the record is there. So thank you for this, the briefing and your analysis. Any questions?
Can I ask any questions?
I believe so.
I think you have to go over the microphone though,
go
so
there.
people just so people online can hear you.
Oh, that's the little
Yeah, you
portable.
just gotta turn that on, there's a little switch up top.
No, that's, I think that's right.
Well, you can
Not
sing,
yet,
but
not
don't
yet.
dance.
Don't you either.
How do I get it on?
There's a button right on top there. Is the light on?
Good evening. Mark Schultz, Chairman of the Windsor Planning Commission. And thanks for this. I know you've done something like this before here, and also you came to the Planning Commission, chatted with us, I'm assuming November, December, something like that. Can I get copies of your
Yes.
two recommendations?
Not a problem.
And this meeting that took place in the spring of '24 with Springdale.
Mhm.
Was this kind of information shared with them?
Not to this
To this
detail.
level? Okay.
It was just a presentation, there was 20 people here. A lot of county staff, probably 7 or 8 county staff. 4 or
That
5.
was in this room, right?
It was
No,
right
it was
here.
in here.
It was out
Right
here.
okay, got it.
4 or 5 town staff, their architects, engineers, and a couple representatives from the school.
So they should, in all likelihood, have some idea about this.
Should.
Because as you saw in the email, they're looking for approval for these first couple of phases, which is the stepping stone for going further.
Right.
Okay, but if I can get copies of those, and maybe before I leave tonight, I can actually get a physical hard copy of it, because I want to make some notes on it. But yeah, because I'm going to send these recommendations out to the planning commission before next week's meeting. And I know last month, Gary, you had also sent something to me along these same lines.
Just a brief,
More
yeah, a
detailed.
little bit- this is a little more
Yeah,
detailed.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that's part of my, I guess, concern is that, if any phase of this master plan is approved for any reason, it doesn't, we got to be clear to make it that it's not for the rest of it. But if you're proposing a master plan of this magnitude, you're not going to want to be part of it. And doesn't make a whole lot of sense to give them what little bit of capacity we have and then force us into a capacity management plan, in my opinion.
Well, a capacity management plan still doesn't give us any more capacity. It just nails down how much we've got, or more accurately, haven't got.
And we did make it clear in the meetings that some of the options for entertaining such a master plan would be expansion of the water system, new sources, new wells, expansion of the treatment plant, and that would require investment from the school itself. So they're very aware of the circumstances, and this is any other municipality would expect the same thing. So if you have an impact on an existing system or infrastructure that requires an investment, that would support your business or your endeavor without impacting the existing consumer base and residents. And so that's kind of what we were looking for, and they disregarded that fact.
And there was just a line mentioned that there'll be further discussions. Also on the agenda next week will also be the presentation from the county on the water resource element. So I'm going to have them they'll be here for that, and they'll hear it from the county.
Yeah.
And all I have is the same information you have, or these nine documents. So, maybe they'll come with something additional, don't know. But, and you're certainly welcome to come, if you would like to be there, but clearly there will need to be discussions beyond next week. Because I don't sense from the document that came to us that they have to put it in writing that they acknowledge that there is this issue. It's more like we'll kick it down the road and discuss it later. Meanwhile, we want to get started in these first couple of phases.
Yeah.
So now we're aware, and I thank you for these two documents, and I would like to have them. I'll share them with the rest of the planning commission.
I'll look and send them via email and.
Yeah.
Yeah,
While
send
you're
me an email
emailing
before I
them,
leave tonight, too.
if you
I'm
could
gonna
email
work
them
out.
to me too, because
I
I got
wrote
the
on
one
mine,
from
but I'm gonna
June,
try to
but
print
but I
some
don't
again.
have the one from July.
And honestly, to the school's defense, when you look at the appropriation permits and the combined totals, and then the supply demand, there is the illusion that there's excess water supply there, but that was only allocated to the town for operational flexibility. And it's not sustainable, and it's not possible to extract that amount of water on a daily basis. It's just not operationally possible. And we could invest millions of dollars, and the sources that we have, they'll never produce that amount of water. And so one of the things that the state, specifically MDE, has now transitioned to is more of a conservative approach to a formula that's used for drought conditions and things like that. And we're actually seeing changes in appropriation permits and reductions because the municipalities have been over appropriated with water. And so that's why we're trying to develop hillside wells. Develop hillside wells and, try to see if we can get Atlee on board and drill at some other locations because, we need operational flexibility. And the other thing in regards to the water system is there's a drainage area basin, it's called. It's where the water collects, and that's part of how the state appropriates water sources. And at Mainspring and Dennings, they're very large properties. And most municipalities have the drainage area basin calculations that are calculated within the town limits. And we're fortunate enough to have those larger parcels, which accumulatively, we're using that as our drainage area basin, even though it's outside of town limits. So that's another reason why those numbers are higher. But just thought I'd share that information.
No, we certainly appreciate that and thankful for all the information. So, okay, any further questions? All right. Item number 5 is review of the fiscal year 25 final budget numbers.
I'm gonna pull up the PDF, Connor, yeah. Perfect. All right, so I'm just gonna hit on some highlights for both enterprise and general fund on income and expenses. So income tax is above budget number. This was a general guesstimate from Gary and I. The state does not say, hey, New Windsor, you're gonna get X amount of dollars for income tax. So it is over what we budgeted for, which is good. We have increased it for the next fiscal year. Personal property is a tangible tax for businesses. There were credits issued by the states, in quite a few businesses that we had to apply to those accounts. So it is a little under. Real property is above budgeted number. New Windsor is due for new property assessments this year. It's done every 3 years. So we should see an increase in the next couple of years. Cable franchise fees are below budgeted number. We received the final installment for the year. It's done in quarters after July. So I can't help that. They're usually pretty good. They get it to us by the end of June. But this year they were a little late. Administrative and impact fees are due to Springdale area connection fees. So the total income for fiscal year 25 was $1,329,120 compared to the budgeted number of $1,151,810. So positive in income of $177,310, which is always good news. Some highlights on expenses. I always like to hit this. Legal fees were under budget again this year.
I make her put a high number in there, so
It's not always been that way, so let's be grateful.
IT is under budget. The budget number included cybersecurity coverage that we're currently working with Maryland IT on right now. More information on this when we receive it. So it did fall under budget by a lot. Office equipment and services agreement, slightly over budget. The main thing in this line was the upgrade of the NVR system and the security cameras. Postage is over budgeted number. Certified mailings has increased. And I do believe that when we made that postage number, we did not take into consideration the full build out of Snyder Summit. So it has skewed a little bit. Salt is under budget. We did use some leftover from years prior this year. Snow remover subcontractor is over budget. This is due to only having 3 public works staff during the majority of the winter and the storms that we received. Public works overtime, however, is under budget. Street and sidewalk maintenance is under budget. Trash, household recycling, and bulk are all under budget. That's a good news. And then capital projects are just under budget. And in that capital project line, it does include the new HVAC for Town Hall, the wiring upgrade for the HVAC, and half of the cost of the new public works truck. Healthcare and retirement are under budget. Again, we were not fully staffed due to the employees leaving and not filling right away, so it just came under. So the total expenses for fiscal year on the general side only was $985,821 compared to the $1,151,510, which we budgeted for. So a positive difference of $165,689. So total. We should transfer $342,999 into the general fund capital reserve. The capital reserve for new council members, and just a refresher, is kind of like our overage, what we didn't spend and what we got, a little savings account you can call it, and what we'll use to move forward for capital projects next year or in the future. Emergencies are good things to say. So any questions on general fund?
Actually, thank you for that information.
No problem.
I do have a question. So the Public Works overtime, the proposed budget was $10,750. Was that difference between the actual and the proposed, was that again due to not the staff? Not having, okay, all right. And we're anticipating that we were gonna have to work more overtime to cover the work. Is that the right way of saying it, or is that simplifying it?
Simplifying it, yes.
Okay, all right,
We should be in better shape this year.
yeah.
Correct. And the subcontractor should go down if the snow is like it was or worse, which we are due.
We've been saying that for years.
We have been saying.
You're threatening us.
saying it for years
Any
more.
other questions on the general side? So I would need a motion to transfer $342,999 to the capital reserve.
I'll make that motion.
Do I hear a motion to transfer the funds?
Take a minute.
Do I have a motion?
I have a motion to transfer the funds.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the motion passes.
All right, so let's go to enterprise, ladies and gentlemen. Some highlights there. Interest is above budgeted number. This accounts for the developer fee, the enter checking account, and the capital reserve account that we have. Just so we all know, the developer fee received $33,652 in interest. Our checking account received $505 in interest, and our reserve account received $999 in interest. So not a bad way to start the year.
Good job on the rates, Dana, because I know you do a lot of research
That's
on that.
not even including our investments, which are not in this, so yeah.
Yeah.
Water and sewer hookups and new meter purchases are above budgeted number again. It's an area connection for Springdale. We didn't even see this coming. The new meter will be a wash. So the total income for fiscal year 25 is $1,625,986 compared to the budgeted number of $1,355,637. So a positive $270,349 in income. Moving over to water expenses. Contractors and consultants over budget. This is due to AAA for the Maryland 31 water line. We were unsure if we could use the grant money to pay for that, so we have eaten it as the town. You will see this on the sewer side as well. Electric is just slightly over. Emergency repairs are under budgeted numbers. Fuel and generators for both are both over budget. We added new generators, and you got to put fuel in them, guys. Easiest way to do that, and you're going to see that in the sewer line as well. MES for water is slightly over budget. SCADA SIM cards are over budget. We did an upgrade with the SCADA system paid by ARPA, but we had to use the enterprise funds for the SIM cards monthly reoccurrence billing. We did increase that for fiscal year 26 due to that. 3Rs are over budgeted. Capital projects are just under budgeted number, and this includes the mini splits, the new truck portion for water, and the install of generators. So the total water expenses for fiscal year 25 is $396,589, which is just over the budgeted number that we predicted of $395,079 of about $1,500. Moving on to sewer. Chemicals, under budget. Electric, under budget. Emergency repairs, under budget. MES, under budget. Sludge is over budget, the budgeted number. Issues with the SPR tanks and rainy weather that caused us to haul more. 3Rs are under budget. Capital projects are under budget, and that does include the sewer portion for the new truck. So we split it 50-50 between general and enterprise, and the enterprise splits it between water and sewer. The total sewer expenses for fiscal year 25 is $528,866. That is under the budgeted amount of $656,256 by $127,390. So a little over on water, but we made for it up on sewer. All personnel expenses were under budget as well. So the grand total for expenses for enterprise were $1,195,527 compared to the budgeted number of $1,355,637. So a difference of $160,010. Adding all of that together, we should transfer $430,459 from enterprise checking account to the capital reserve. Are there any questions on enterprise?
All right, folks, do we have any questions on the capital budget?
Nope.
Okay.
And we'll repeat the motion again.
Sure. Do I hear a motion to transfer the funds to Dana?
To transfer $430,459 from enter checking to enter capital reserve.
Motion.
We have a motion to transfer the funds. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
Can I mention something? Okay.
Go ahead.
So one of the reasons why we're looking so good and healthy on the budget is because we utilize a lot of grants and ARPA money, and the state gave us money for the water line project. Had we paid out of these funds to accomplish these projects, the transfers wouldn't be as high.
Certainly.
Be any at all, probably.
Yeah.
all of ARPA money has been allocated and pretty much spent. We cannot change it with the feds. That was due that very lovely day that I don't like to remember anymore in my head. So we can't change it, we can't do anything, but that money is gone. So it is a very good point. All the little projects that $1,377,000
Yep.
was good.
All right, as a bit of formality, let's complete that motion.
Oh, sorry.
All right, so all in favor for transferring the funds?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Okay. All right, any other comments, questions?
I just had a couple things to discuss real quick.
For sure, go
Main
ahead.
Street and High Street paving. As you can see, Miller has completed the mill and overlay, and they were out marking today for striping, which they should be doing later this week, I believe. The Blue Ridge Pump Station upgrade project is complete, and on the 211 High Street redevelopment project next door, Public Works did some interior work in preparation for the town's electrician's preliminary work and bee extraction in the early fall. Public Works removed ceiling tiles, exposed walls, moved old furniture and records. They discovered lead paint, mold, and asbestos is common in old buildings and is likely in this building. First thing we need is to hire a general contractor, and we've already started that process of researching general contractors that have experience in older historic buildings, and we'll be preparing an RFP and sending that out here in the near future. That's a very key first step.
Yeah, thank you for that update. Anyone else? I do have a couple things, a matter of housekeeping. Our November council meeting and work session, I'm asking that we flip-flop those, because we're gonna have a couple absences during those. So I'm proposing that we move the November council meeting from the 5th to the 3rd, which would mean we would move it from the 5th on a Wednesday to the 3rd, which is that Monday the 3rd, November 3rd. All right. Second part of that would be to switch the work session that would move from the 17th, which would be a Monday, to the 19th, which would be on that Wednesday. All right, so please make a note of that. And thank you for your flexibility on that. As always, we are looking for volunteers for the traveling Vietnam Memorial that will be in town on on October 9th through the 13th. I heard from Mayor Roop that starting in August on Tuesdays from 8 to 12, we'll be painting fire hydrants. If you're on vacation and you don't have anything to do and you want to paint fire hydrants, that's what we'll be doing. All right. Any other notes and messages to the town? All right. Do I? Here, let me double check my notes, make sure we have everything. I think we do. All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
That motion?
I have a motion to adjourn. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Rolling.
Councilman Wolf Mallow and Councilwoman Schultz. I got